Let's talk about the just sort of overall state of the market. September is doing what September often does. It seems a little choppy. The first couple of days of this trading week were negative. What do you see from now on out through the end of the year?
I've been accused of being overly bullish sometimes, but I do pivot, right? So I pivot when I think there's a reason to pivot. And I still think that we're looking for higher markets going into year end. And when you look at September, people have said about seasonality, am I right?
Correct.
Seasonality happens. 2020 September was terrible. 2022 was terrible. But when you look at it on aggregate, that has skewed the last 5 years, because that's how they figure out seasonality. They take the 5 years, and then they come up with an average percentage.
I think Septembers were bad before COVID, too.
So they were bad before COVID, but people are looking at that outlier of that down 9% September.
Right.
And there were a lot of things going on, and the interest rate environment was a lot less.
But if you're bullish in the long term, you should be cheering a September sell-off if you think it's just a blip.
You should, but as someone who's in my position as a fast money trader and someone who trades on an everyday basis or at least every week basis, trimming and adding different amounts, you want to be proactive on those months. As Kelly said, if you can get that, then you want to take it. But the problem is if you're a long-term investor and you get those months where they're down and then you sell at the lows. That's what most people do. Think about this. I think we're making this way too complicated when we analyze the Fed, where most traders and most people make life too complicated. Are we closer to the end of the rate rising cycle or the beginning? The answer is rhetorical. Right? So now if you're thinking about if we're closer to the end, what else are we closer to? The actual first cut. What's going to happen with the first cut? And everyone says, well, then there's going to be terrible news. No, there's not. It'll be greeted with welcome arms from the bulls on the street. And I think that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for large cap tech to rally. We've had China, we've had rates, we've had everything hit large cap tech. What have people done with large cap tech? Used it as a safety play. So when banks were failing, they ran into technology. When rates were rising, they ran into technology.
But
they liked the fortress balance sheets.
They ran in also when we started seeing the market price in those rate cuts. So what's interesting to me now is we're getting closer to those cuts being a reality, maybe still 6 months out. Now they're selling out of tech. They only want to own energy. So it's like almost like they bought the rumor and are now selling the fact. I think you're correct, but I think if you add in the China dynamic, those are risks that people are looking at selling their large cap tech names. I think the bark is always much worse than the bite when it comes to geopolitical worries. Usually, most of the time, when you know the old saying, when you're strong, act weak, and reverse, right? So China seems to be acting very strong. I think they're very weak at this point. I think that Tim Cook has done a masterful job of being able to be agnostic. He's a U.S. citizen, but he operates inside of China. Who else has done that? Elon Musk. I think at the end of the day, they will figure out ways around it. So what's happened is the negative headline for Apple in China has been a contagion episode for the rest of either large cap tech or tech as a whole. And I think the market is overcorrected.
When you say the information on China and Apple, are you talking specifically about this presumed ban on the purchase of Apple phones, the use of Apple phones by CCP people and government people, right?
Correct.
But how many phones is that, really?
I think we're talking about 500,000 to 1 million, as the story states right now. So 1 to 2% of the phones that are in China that Apple is.
So we're doing a lot of hand wringing over this, and the fact is, it's
the market's
maybe
the market
maybe
is probably
2%.
And the market is probably factored in 5 million phones or more.
Although if it expands to state-owned enterprises, as is rumored, that's probably the biggest share of it. I mean, how would we even tally how many people would potentially work at those tens of millions? I mean, hundreds of millions.
It possibly can be, but you know what consumers do? They figure out ways around it when they want to get a product in their hands. So either it's 2 phones or they figure out which one to buy or which one to keep at home. The product is inferior to the Apple iPhone. And consumers don't like inferior products, no matter where you live, no matter what country you live in.